Hi guys, you are welcome to my YouTube channel. This is Design by Tola01. Thank you so much for stopping by. In today's tutorial, I'm going to share with you how to draft a 3-part corset pattern. Trust me, it's very simple and easy. All you need to do is to pay close attention to all what I'm going to be doing in this video today. I mark out all our vertical measurements, and when I mean vertical measurements, I mean your shoulder to the bust point. For me, my shoulder to bust point, 11.5 inches. So I'm just going to mark 11.5 inches here.
To under bust point is 15 inches, as I'm going to mark that 15 inches here.
Now shoulder to my waist is 18.5 inches, so I'm just going to mark. Now, having marked out all these vertical lines, I'm just going to use my straight ruler and I mark them. My shoulder measurement is 17 inches, so dividing that by 2, I'm going to have 8.5 inches. So I'm going to mark 8.5 inches here on my shoulder line. On this 8.5 inches, I am going to come down by 1 inch, which is going to serve as my shoulder slope. Because now to create my neckline, I'm going to be using the standard neckline, which is 3 inches width by 3 inches depth to make my neckline like this. Now I'm going to be connecting my shoulder slope to my neck width or curve. So we're going to be creating out our armhole. But to create an armhole, you are going to divide your bust measurement into 6. Your bust circumference, divide that into 6 and add 1.5 inches to that. For me, my bust circumference is 42 inches divided by 6 plus 1.5 is going to give me 8.5. So I'm going to be measuring now that 8.5 from this shoulder slope here. So this is 8.5. Connect it straight also like this, which is going to give me my chest line. Okay, so now this is my chest line and this is my armhole curve. Now my bust circumference is 42 divided by 4, that gives me 10.5. So I'm going, this is 10.5 here. To measure this line, I have 8.5 inches, which is for the armhole line. I'm going to divide that into 2, which is going to give me 4.25. On this 4.25 mark, I'm just going to come in by half of an inch. Very simple, very easy. Half of an inch like that. And then I'm going to be connecting these 3 lines together. The shoulder slope, this half of my armhole length, and my armhole curve. Now this is my chest line. Here is my bust point or bust line, whichever one, or bust line. And here is my other bust line, while here is my waist line. Okay, so now I'm going to be measuring my bust span measurement, which is my nipple to nipple, on my bust line, my under bust line, and on my waistline. So let's go on to do that. 4.25 on my bust line, 4.25 on my under bust line, and 4.25 on my waistline. I'm just going to connect these lines together. So that is it. Now the next thing I'm going to be doing right now is on my bust line, I'm going to come down by 0.75, just like this, and then just leave it there. The next thing I'm going to be creating out my that. For my that, I'm going to be coming in by 0.75 on both my under bust line and my waistline, on both sides of the line. So watch me while I do that. 0.75. This is my under bust line, so I'm coming in and out by 0.75 on both lines, and I'm doing that also on my waistline, 0.75, just like this. And I'm going to connect these 2 lines together. It's going to make for my that. So now I'm done with that. The next thing I'm going to be doing now, I'm going to come over to my shoulder line here. I'm going to measure the distance between my shoulder line here. This is 5.5 inches. I'm going to divide that by 2. That is going to give me 2.2. That's going to give me 2.75. All right, 2.75. Now I'm going to be connecting it down to my chest line or to my bust line. Can you see? As simple and easy as that is. Now the next thing I'm going to be doing now, we're going to be creating out bust span radius. That is where we're going to be creating and drafting our corset cups from. So to get that bust span radius, I'm going to measure the distance between my bust line and my under bust line. So go on and measure the distance between your bust line and your under bust line. For me, the distance is 3.5 inches, which is 3.5. So I'm going to make sure this 3.5 goes round to make for a circle. Now how do I do that? I'm going to keep on marking 3.5 inches, still maintaining my 3.5 inches mark on my bust line like this. I'm going to mark out 3.5 inches and I'm going to make that into a circle. So now I'm done with that. But if you have a compass just like I do, like this, is going to make it easier and faster for you. So just connect your pencil into the compass like this, screw it together like this. Now what you're going to do next is, that is, if you have a compass, just place still the same thing, just that the compass is going to make it much more easier and faster. Place one point on your bust line and place the other point on your under bust line like this. Can you see? And then mark out the radius. It's going to give you. So can you see that? Now we are heading somewhere. Now the next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to be connecting this dart to this points that I have here, which is the 0.75 inches that I points together, just like this, one, and do that to the other side like this, and you have it two. All right, that's fine. The next thing I'm going to do now, I have this dart on this side of the radius of my bust band here. I'm going to do the same thing at the top here, but I'm going to be adding half of an inch extra to it. This here, measure whatever you have here. For me, what I have here is 1.5 inches. Now, for me to create the same dart here on top, I'm going to add an extra 5 inches to that, which is going to give me 2 inches. This is to avoid caping. So now I'm having 2 inches. Now I'm going to divide that 2 inches I have on both sides of this radius. Now watch me how I do that. How am I going to do that? On this side, I'm going to mark out 0.75. Now on this side, I'm going to mark out 1.2. So guys, my phone stopped recording and then I lost the clip. So, but do not worry, I'm actually going to explain this to you in details. So what I did was that after I marked the darts on both sides of the radius, on this side 0.75, on this side 1.25. After I did that, this is where the 1.25 mark is. This is for the 1.25, this is for the 0.75. So after I marked this, then I came to the chest line here. I came down by half of an inch on the chest line. This depends on you. You can come down by half of an inch on the chest line. You can come down by 1 inch, depending on how deep you want this neck, place to be. Or you can even leave it on the chest line here. But I came down by half of an inch on my chest line here, and I came in by half of an inch also on the chest line here. And so from that line, I marked. From that line, I curve like this. I do my curve like this to meet to this point, from here to here. Then I did the same thing from this point also. I came down to this dart here. You can see I traced it out like that with my marker. For here, I measured my armhole curve, which is 2 inches. So on these 2 inches, I divided these 2 inches by 2, which I had 1 inch. So on this 1 inch mark, I came down by half of an inch, as you can see, half of an inch. And on that half of an inch mark, I just ruled this line, the half of an inch mark line. I ruled it out like this, as you can see. So from that mark, because this is the main line I'm going to be working with, so I connected from this that radius here, I connected it to this point like this, as you can see. I connected it like this here, and then the next thing I did was to connect from this point to this point also like this, and I connected it together like this. Okay, so now the next thing I did was to get the 3-part corset that you're seeing here. On this part here, I came down by 2.5 inches. On this part here, I came down by 2.5 inches. I marked it. 2.5 inches here too. I marked it. On this line, I came down by 2 inches. I marked it. Here also, I came down by 2 inches. I marked it. And then I used my curved rule and I connected the lines together, as you can see, like this. I connected the lines together, as you can see, like this. And that made my 3-part corset cup. And I labeled it. This is 1A, 1B, number 2, and number 3. This is 1, 2, and 3, which makes a 3-part corset cup. So I hope you guys really understand what I just explained there, because you understanding this is my priority and my concern. And if you have any question for me, I'll be right there in the comment section to give answers to all your questions. Thank you guys so much for your understanding. So after we are done with that, you can see our corset cup is coming out so nice and beautiful and fully formed and shaped. You can see it's beautiful already, even without cutting this out on the fabric. You can see how nice and beautiful it is already. So the next thing I'm going to be doing, I'm going to be inputting in our horizontal measurement, which is our bust measurement and our waist measurement. So now this is the mark, this is the point at which you're going to be working on. So what I'm just going to do now, I'm going to measure my bust circumference, which is 42 inches divided by 4. That gives me 10.5. Now I marked 10.5 here. Then I'm going to add this dart that I'm going to be cutting out here. I'm going to replace it back. So here I have 2 inches here. I'm going to replace it back here to have that 2 inches here also. So you can see this is the point, this is what I have. So since this is the line we're going to be working with, I'm just going to drop this measurement down here, measure it all together. What do you have? All together I have 12.5 inches. So I'm going to measure that 12.5 inches and I'm going to drop it down on this line, as you can see, like it's very simple. The next thing to do is to measure your, come down to your waistline. My waist is 38 inches divided by 4, that is 9.5. Measure in the 9.5 here, then measure in your dart here, whatever you have in your dart here, measure it all together. Here I have 1.5 all together for the darts. I'm going to put back that 1.5 here, as you can see, and I'm going to add 1 inch sewing allowance. I'm going to add 1 inch sewing allowance here also. I added 1 inch sewing allowance to the sides. So what I'm just going to do next is I'm going to connect this line to this line. Very easy. You can see we have our 3-part corset cup ready. So beautiful. These top bodies here, we don't need this, but we had to construct a basic bodice pattern so that we can achieve the corset cup pattern. So that was why we constructed a basic bodice pattern. So we don't actually need this neckline and all of this. So we're going to be cutting this out, and what we actually need is this corset cup and the center front. Here is the center front. We need the center front and the side front. Cut this out. I'm going to be cutting out the sides first. So you see why it is very, very important for you to label your cuffs before cutting out. So you can see that with these labels, it makes it very, very easy for us. So now I'm indicating it with the arrow so that I can know which is which and which is going on with which. So now it's a 3-part corset pattern. Now we have 4 parts. So what I'm just going to do is this 1A and 1B, I'm going to marry them together so that they can become one. So I'm going to join this 1A and 1B together like this, and I'm going to trace it out. I'm going to take a new pattern paper. I'm going to trace this out on a new pattern paper to give me just one piece. So you can see both halves. So this is what I have, and this is what we have, and this is our 3-part corset pattern. So the next thing I'm going to do now, I'm going to be drafting the back for this 3-part corset. This is my zipper allowance, this 1.5 inches, which is the zipper allowance. So this is 1.5 inches zipper allowance. I'm going to measure out my bust point, which is 11.5 inches, plus my waistline 18.5 inches. I'm going to do that also. Now let's label these lines. This is the waistline, this is the bust line. My shoulder is 17 inches divided by 2. That's going to give me 8.5 inches. I mark it here. Now I'm going to mark my neckline. My neckline, I'm going to be using the standard neckline, which is 3 inches by 1 inches. So here you have it. Now on this shoulder line, I'm going to come down by 1 inch, which is the shoulder slope. I'm going to connect this shoulder slope to my neck width, just like this. Very simple. To divide my bust measurement divided by 6 plus 1.5. When I did that, I have 8.5 inches. So from this shoulder slope, I'm going to come down by 8.5 inches, and I'm going to loop that. Now on that 8.5 inches mark that I have here, which is here, I'm going to join it together to the shoulder slope here. Now I'm going to measure this armhole length. What do I have? I have 8.5 inches. I'm going to divide that by 2. That gives me 4.25. Measure my bust circumference, which is 10.5 inches. I'm going to mark it here. Now I'm going to connect that point. This line I have here is my chest line, CL. I'm going to measure my bust span measurement, which is my nipple to nipple measurement divided by 2. That is 4.25. I'm going to measure my 4.25 both on my waistline and my under and my bust line. So after I've connected it, I'm going to draw out my darts, which is ½ inches on both sides, both on the waistline and on the under bust and on the bust line. Sorry, I don't know why I keep saying under bust. So both on the waistline and the bust line, ½ inch. Okay, and I'm going to connect this together. Okay, now I've done that. The next thing I'm going to be doing now on this chest line, I'm going to also measure my bust span measurement, which is 4.25. Now on that 4.25, I'm going to come down by, you can come down by 1 inch, you can come down by ½ inch, depending on what you want. You can come down by 0.75 inches, whichever one is good. So for me, I'm going to come down by 0.75 to connect these 2 lines to this new point I have here. So this is my bust circumference, which is 42 divided by 4, 10.5 inches. This that I removed here 1 inch. I'm going to place it back there, and I'm going to add 1 inch sewing allowance. Altogether, what I have 12.5 inches. I'm just going to drop this 12.5 inches on my chest line here because I've dropped it there. The next one I'm going to come to my waist line, which is 38 inches divided by 4. That gives me 9.5 inches. I'm going to mark my 9.5 inches here. measure my dart. What I have here, 1 inches, 1 inch. I'm going to return it back here and then put in my sewing allowance, which is 1 inch. Join this line and this line together. The next thing I'm going to be doing now on this back bodice is I'm going to be deducting out the zipper bulge, this line here. So I'm going to come in by half of an inch on my bust line, or by half of an inch also on my waistline, and I'm going to connect these two lines together. Then I'm going to connect it to the midpoint of my chest line, which is as simple as that. I'm going to do the same thing on this other side. I'm going to come in by half of an inch here also at the zipper area, and then I'm going to repeat the same thing I did, connect these lines together and measurement just like this, and that is it. So we don't need this line anymore. This is the line we are working with, this and this. So on this chest line now, on this side here, depending on how deep you want the back to be, on my chest line, I'm just going to come down by half of an inch. I don't want it too deep. For me, I'm going to come down by half inches, and I'm just going to connect it like this. And this is where I'm going to be cutting out. So for the dart, I'm going to be cutting the dart out completely.